Guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I have my August 2026 TBR. So, before we get into what exactly I'm going to be reading this month, let's go ahead and get started with the game for the month, which includes my July wrap-up and exactly how much damage we can attack our copper wormlings. So, let's go ahead and roll that footage. Okay, so before we can even get into the game, we need to account for last month. Now, I actually did a lot of reading last month, which was fantastic. I completed 7 books. So that was probably my best reading month I've had in a while. Now, I unfortunately did not get to any of the ones that can do double damage, but at the very least we have 7 opportunities for there to be an attack on this damn copper wormling. I want it gone. I want a new monster. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first one we have is for the prompt of a book that is not normally my taste, which for that I read Educated by Tara Westover. So let's go ahead and see if we end up getting a 16 or higher on this copper wormling. That is a natural 1. That does not hit. Next was for an unreliable narrator, which I read You by Caroline Kepnes. That is a 19. That does hit. Now I'm going to roll my d6 for amount of damage just because we're just going for like a straight attack, which typically ends up being a d6 of any kind. So let's go ahead and see what we get. 3. So I get 3 points off of the copper wormling. So that's about half of a box. And this guy is now down to 9 points of health. Okay, the next one we had was a thriller, which for this I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Oop, that rolled off, but that was another 19. So now we roll again for damage. And we got a 2, so that fills up the box, leaving us with 7 points of damage left. Next we had a 5-star prediction, which for this I read China Rich Girlfriend, and I got through the majority of it. The problem is that it's not finished, but anything that is at least 50% completed I do count towards this, so we're just going to roll as if we had finished it. And that is a 15, which is just shy. Next I had a monster / animal in the cover or title, which for this we read My Demon Hunter. That is a 10, that misses. Next we had a fantasy, which I read for Daughter of Sparta. That is a 9, that also misses. And finally we had a slower paced book, which I read Pride and Prejudice for. Let's see what we get. That is an 18. That does hit. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to kill the copper wormling today, but we'll at least get very close to weaning them down. So let's see what we get. That is a 4. So that almost fills up the box. And this copper wormling is now down to 3 hit points. But it is looking like in September we will finally clear the copper wormling, and then in October we will have a new monster to battle against, which is very exciting. So let's go ahead and get started with our game. Now before we actually do that though, let's go ahead and also do the XP for the month of August, because we are very close to being able to get to level 2. So let's go ahead and do the XP before we pick our character. Okay, so for Educated I earned 140 XP. For You, I got 150. For A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I got 140. For China Rich Girlfriend, I ended up getting 160 points plus a bout of inspiration. For My Demon Hunter, I got 140 XP. The same for Daughter of Sparta. And for Pride and Prejudice, I earned 130 XP. So that gave us, in total, 1,000 XP, putting us at 2,920 XP. So we are so close to level 2. We have 80 points left till we get to level 2. And we also have a bout of inspiration for this round of our game because of reading China Rich Girlfriend. Alright, so now we get to go and pick our character. So we're going to roll a d6 to determine our race and class of our character, which will help us with determining our stats. So for the race of our character, we are going to get number 5, which in our deck is going to be the Tiefling. Now, a Tiefling does have the special skill of being an Infernal, which means that any book that is red, orange, or yellow on the cover earns me an additional 100 XP. Alright, so there's our character. Now we need to figure our class, which is going to be number 3. So we are going to be a Tiefling Druid. Now, the Druid special skill is health. So let's say a book was not 50% finished or more at the end of the month. I can decide, depending on the book, to regenerate it for the full amount of damage, which basically means I'll be able to roll for the attack that it would have gotten if I had finished it, if that makes sense. Okay, so now that we have our character, we're going to go ahead and get the stats figured out for this Tiefling Druid, and I will be back in just a second. So, the stats I initially got were Strength at 17 with a +3 modifier, Intelligence 13 with a +1 modifier, but because we are a Tiefling, that actually goes up by 1 to a 14 with a +2 modifier, Dexterity a 10 with a 0 modifier, Wisdom 11 with a 0 modifier, Constitution 11 with a 0 modifier, and initially Charisma was at a 6 with a -2 modifier. But because we are a Tiefling, that actually does go up 2 points. So we actually are at an 8 with a -1 modifier, which I will take that considering that it went up 1 in terms of the modifiers. So totally fine with that. But with that out of the way, we are ready to start our game. So let's go ahead and get started with our first roll for TBR for August. That is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is blue. That is Arcana. Carved symbols shift and rearrange themselves on a stone door. So we have to roll an 11 or higher to earn 1 to our intelligence, but if we roll lower, nothing bad happens. And for this, we need to read a book with either locks on the cover or in the title. Okay, an 11 or higher to be able to boost our intelligence by 1. So let's see if we get that. And for intelligence, we have a +2 modifier. So we need at least a 9 to be able to do this. That is a natural 1. Thankfully, nothing bad happens, but a natural 1 nonetheless. Alright, let's go ahead and roll for our second prompt. 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is purple, which is Charisma. And I just realized you can't see any of that. Fantastic. Let me zoom out a little bit so that you guys can see the board. Sorry about that. Flamboyant Bard challenges you to a public charm duel to entertain the crowd. We have to roll a 10 or higher, and if we win, we get 50 gold, but nothing bad happens if we don't do it. And we have to read a book that either involves a duel or trials. Okay, so 10 or higher Charisma, which we have a -1 modifier. So we need at least an 11 to be able to pull this off. Let's see. Nat 20! Woohoo! So we just earned 50 gold off of that, which is fantastic. Love that for us. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we've got going on for this next one. 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Green, which is nature or medicine. This is going to be under the wisdom category. An NPC needs a rare herb to survive an infection. If we roll a 5 or higher, we get 50 gold, but nothing bad happens if we do not. So this, we need to read a book with a plant on the cover. Okay, 5 or higher with intelligence, or with wisdom, excuse me, and we have a 0 modifier for that. So we need a straight 5 or more to be able to help this person to get some more gold. Number 9, awesome. So we just earned another 50 gold, putting us at 100 gold for this game, which is fantastic. Not that the gold really does anything for us, but it's nice to know that we have some pocket change, you know? All right, let's see what we've got going on next. 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. White, which is Constitution. A collapsed tunnel releases choking sulfurous gas. For this, we need to roll an 8 or higher to earn a second wind and avoid a death saving throw, but we also have that bout of inspiration that we can use if we need it. If we do that, though, or if we lose, we basically die. And for this, we need a book that will choke us up, something that's going to probably be pretty sad. All right, so we need an 8 or higher, and our Constitution modifier is, I believe, a 0. So we need a straight 8 or higher to be able to do this. But again, we do have that bout of inspiration to hopefully pull through. So let's see. 7. Okay. I'm going to roll it again. We're going to use that inspiration. I'm going to take that off. And we're going to use that bout of inspiration we just got. 12. Oh, thank God. Okay, so that was definitely helpful, which I just realized I did not figure out what my hit points were. But I think we have, I think it's 8 hit points for a tiefling, so we're just going to go with that. Oh, we earned second wind to avoid a death saving throw. Okay, so I'll basically make a note that we have a second wind, which is good, so that if we ever come across a death saving throw, then we'll be good. So let's go ahead and continue. 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Silver, which is intelligent. Surveying the terrain before an ambush. We have to roll a 10 or higher to avoid an enemy attack, or we get attacked by the enemy. And for this, we need to read a book that has a map. Got plenty of those. What do we need? We need a 10 or higher, which intelligence, we have a +2, so we need at least an 8 to be able to do this. 17, sweet. So we just avoided an enemy attack. So that technically actually gives us advantage. So I'm going to take an advantage card, which we've never really used before because I've honestly kept forgetting about using the advantage card. It says, a druid companion casts guidance of the wilds. So for this then, if we ever do have an enemy attack happen, the enemy has disadvantage. So they could completely miss us entirely if there ever is an enemy attack. So this is good to hold on to for a reminder. Next roll. 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Attack cards. So anything that is attack cards, basically the prompt, if I read the book, it gets double the amount of damage that it would normally. So for this, we have to read a book that relates to a personal goal. So probably a finance-based book. Ugh, I hate that. For that one, I probably may do more, I don't know, something that just expands my knowledge, which is always a personal goal of mine. I really don't want to read a finance book if I don't need to, so we're going to skip that part. But let's go ahead and roll for our next one. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another attack card. This one is a mood read, so I can read anything that I want for this one, and that will work. Fantastic. Love that for me. Okay, next roll. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Purple, which is charisma. A band of goblins hesitates at your approach. You bare your teeth and step forward with menace. For this, we have to roll a 10 or higher to gain some inspiration, or we get attacked by the enemy. And for this, we need to read a book with a large cast of characters. So charisma is a -1, so we need at least an 11 to be able to do this, or we get attacked by the enemy. 12! Woohoo! So we just avoided an enemy attack, and we gained a point of inspiration again. So sweet, we now have another point of inspiration. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what else we get. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blue, which is Arcana. The party finds a beautiful amulet humming with dark magic. For this, we have to roll a 7 or higher to earn +5 to our hit points, or we die. But we do have second wind to avoid a saving throw, so we possibly could escape this. But for this, we have to read a book with jewelry on the cover. All right, so we need, what is this? Arcana, which is intelligence, so we need at least a 5 to escape this and get 5 more hit points. Yes, a nat 20! Woohoo! Woohoo! So our hit point count just went up to 13 hit points, which is so exciting. I've never had this happen in this game ever. I'm so pleased. Thank you, board. Thank you, game. I am very much appreciative of that. But this is turning out to be a quite big TBR, which is not great considering I start school in about 2 weeks. So we'll see how we do, but let's roll again. Natural 1, of course. If it was going to be at any point, I would rather it be now than during that roll. So 1 puts us at orange, which is wisdom. As you tread As you travel through the dense forest, you sense something watching you. For this, we have to roll a 5 or higher to earn an advantage on our next enemy attack, or we get attacked by the enemy. And for this, we need to read a book with a shadowy figure on the cover. Okay, so 5, wisdom, we have 0 modifier, so we need a straight 5 to be able to earn advantage, or we get attacked. 7, you know what? I'll take it. So we earn another advantage card. You stand before an ancient inscription. As you study it, your wizard friend whispers the translation. So we get an advantage on our next intelligence roll with this card, which is fantastic. All right, next roll, here we go. It's an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Charisma. In a magical marketplace, a sentient mimic disguised merchant refuses to budge on prices. We have to roll a 15 or higher to earn 5 points to our charisma, or we get attacked by the enemy. For this, we have to read a book that we bought for full price. So I need a 15, charisma -1, so I need at least a 16. Oh boy. Or we get attacked by the enemy. This ought to be interesting. 17. Holy shit. What the hell? Okay, I don't know if you guys saw that because I saw my camera stopped, but we did roll a natural 1. So we moved forward 1, which put us in nature and medicine. The group finds massive clawed footprints crossing the trail. So for this, we need to roll a 5 or higher to avoid an enemy attack, or we are attacked by the enemy. And for this, we need to read a book with footprints or paw prints on the cover. So 5, nature medicine is wisdom, so we need a straight 5 to be able to avoid this enemy attack. 15, perfect. So that means we get another advantage card. While climbing a cliffside, a strong tailwind lifts your cloak. We get advantage on the next attack. So this is a card we will use in September's wrap-up, or August's wrap-up in the September TBR video. All right, next roll. I don't even know what we're up to with rolls, to be completely honest. I did not even keep track. 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wisdom. A suspicious merchant insists his potions are completely safe. We have to roll a 10 or higher to gain 2 points of wisdom or lose 6 hit points. And again, we have read a book that is not normally my taste. So we need a 10 or higher, and this is wisdom, so it's a straight 10 to be able to do this, or we lose 6 of our hit points, which won't kill us, but will definitely put us in a bit of a bind. 14! I will freaking take it! Yes! This game is going so well. So we just earned 2 points of wisdom, putting us at a 13 with a +2 modifier. Alright, so let's go ahead and keep the good vibes going. If I can get to the castle, I'm going to be so excited because we've never gotten to the castle before, but I may have just jinxed myself with that, so we'll see. 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Constitution. An alchemist's experimental healing draught begins to bubble violently after you drink it. So, for this we have to roll a 6 or higher to earn 10 hit points, or this is automatic death, no saving throws necessary. And this is a book that is intimidating to us. Okay, so Constitution has a 0 modifier, so we need a straight 6 to be able to earn 10 more hit points, or we're dead, and this is the end of it. So, come on, 6 or higher. Oh my god, are you kidding me? A 4! And I can't use my saving throw because the card said that there's no saving throws allowed with this. Like, this is just straight death. Oh, that's so disappointing! But we got through like almost half, if not fully over half the board, which I think is the furthest I've gone since last month. So you know what? I'm happy with this. I've got a great TBR setup. I'm good with this. I'm getting hot playing this game because it's so hot up here in my office. But you know what? I'm going to take it because I actually have a pretty good idea of how this is going to go. So, great. Awesome. Game over. Okay, so that game went way better than I expected. I am so excited, but also a little nervous because I start school in a couple weeks and I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read all of these. But at the very least, we made some good progress and we've got some great books on tap for this month. So let's go ahead and get started. The first prompt I had was to read a book that had the word Locke on the cover or in the title. And for this, I decided to go with The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. Technically, this is spelled with L-O-C-K-E, but it still counts because it's still pronounced as Locke. I've heard really great things about this, that it's a bit of a interesting historical romantasy almost kind of thing, and it deals with a feminine main character who is a knight, so I'm totally jazzed about that. Next, we have a book that is going to do with duels or trials, and for this I decided to go with one that I know my friend Bree is going to be very happy I'm going to be reading, and that is Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, the first book in the Bound and the Broken series. This does deal with a competition of sorts, so we're going to count that for the trials. Next is to read a book with a plant on the cover, and for this I went with Demons with Benefits by Aurora Asher, the third book in the Hellbent series, which has a big old flower right in the middle of it. Next, we had a book that was gonna keep me all choked up, and for this I decided to pull over Firekeeper's Daughter from last month's TBR because I do want to reread this, and I know that it's gonna choke me up because it choked me up the first time I read it, and it's been a while since I've read it, so I think it's gonna definitely do the same thing again. Next is to read a book that has a map. For this, I'm going with my ebook copy of Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, mostly because the movie's coming out really soon. I know there's a lot of drama going on around Tomi Adeyemi and the movie and stuff, and so I'm hesitant to go watch the movie, but at the very least want to reread the book because I've never read the second or third book in the series, and so I would like to be able to finish the series in its entirety. Next is to read a book that involves a personal goal. So I decided that one of my personal goals is that I do want to read more poetry and read through my poetry collection that I do have, and I have a backlist of Courtney Peppernell books to read, so I decided to go with All Dogs Are Good by Courtney Peppernell. This one in particular looks like my little Dougie, and I'm certain this is going to make me cry my eyes out because a poetry collection involving dogs, there's probably going to be some pretty sad ones in here and I'm going to bawl my eyes out, but we will get through it. Next is a mood read, which I decided to go with Rich People Problems by Kevin Kwan to finish out the Crazy Rich Asians series, which I'm so excited to be able to finish this series. I've been loving it so far, and I think that I will definitely be reading more of Kevin Kwan's work in the future. Next is to read a book with a large cast, so I carried over The Guest List by Lucy Foley because based on the back, there are at least 5 characters within this, and usually if there's 3 or more, I consider that to be a large cast. Next is a book with jewelry on the cover, which I carried over The Cruel Prince because the crown I consider to be a type of jewelry of sorts. Next is to read a book with a shadowy figure on the cover. This time I decided to go with Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is a book I've been meaning to read for a very long time. Comes highly recommended by a personal friend of mine from high school, and so I would like to be able to eventually read this. Next is a book that I got for full price, and I decided to go with The Heirs by Ferida Abike Iyamide, which I have yet to read since its release, and considering I'm such a Ferida Abike Iyamide fan, I'm a little surprised at myself that I have not read this yet, but I'm very excited to dive into it because I have loved her other books and I cannot wait to see what this one's going to be like. Next is to read a book with footprints or paw prints on the cover. This one's a bit of a stretch, but if you can see it on the cover, then I think it would make sense. But I decided to pull over The Castaways by Ellen Hilderbrand because if you look really closely on the cover, there are what look to be footprints in the sand here, which, considering that most of the time when you're walking on sand you're going to leave footprints, it makes sense. So it's kind of a stretch, but I think it still kind of works. Next is a book that is something that's not normally my taste. I did go with a memoir again this time, and I decided to go with Finding Me by Viola Davis because I love Viola Davis from How to Get Away with Murder and various other shows and movies, and I've been always interested in this memoir and learning more about her, so I was interested in this audiobook when I saw that it was available. And finally, a book that is intimidating. I am pulling over Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb because this is an intimidating series for me. This is an intimidating world for me. I don't know whether I'm gonna like it or not, but we'll see, because at the very least it's the size of it too that's intimidating. But without further ado, those are all the books I am planning on reading in this month. There are 2 in this stack that are not available because one is an ebook that I have on my Kindle and the other is an audiobook that I have checked out from the library. So This though is a nice hefty stack for August. I don't know if I'm gonna get through all of it because I've got school starting up in a couple weeks, and so my time is gonna be really dedicated to that at the end of August, but I am excited nonetheless. So thank you all so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!